This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on celebration of International Year of Millets 2023, positioning India as the global hub for millets. The participants are Dr. D.K. Yadav, Additional Director General, SEED, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and Nishit Kumar, AIR Correspondent.
Millets are an important staple cereal crop for millions of smallholders, dryland farmers across Asia and other continents. They offer nutrition, resilience, income and livelihood for the farmers. They have multiple untapped uses such as food, feed, fodder, biofuels and brewing. Therefore, they are good for consumers, good for farmers and of course good for the planet. Of course, we all know that mostly and broadly there are 9 types of millets, namely jowar, pearl millet, finger millet, little millet, foxtail millet, proso millet, barnyard millet, kodo millet and others. So we have with us in our studios Dr. Yadav. Dr. Yadav, we'd like to know that India proposed to observe 2023 as the International Year of Millets and was approved by Food and Agricultural Organization and of course the UNO as well. So India took the lead in this and was majorly supported by over 17 nations at the United Nations. So what significance do you hold for India's push for such declaration for millets?
I think declaring 2023 as International Year of Millets and India being at the focus to coordinate all the activities of International Year of Millets, that is a great honor for our country. Millets have been grown in our country for a very long period, and if we go in history, so you will find up to 300 before Christ also the millets have been consumed in our country. During 2018, India took an initiative and celebrated 2018 as International Year of Millets, and then the potential of the millets that was seen, what sort of the programs they were conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare through its 2 departments, that is Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare as well as Department of Agriculture Research and Education, which also holds the Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So at that time we could see that the farmers, they came forward, the public came forward, and whatsoever efforts were made, they were very significant in enhancing the area, bringing the more land towards these crops and the inclination of general public towards the millet and millet products. Getting the advantage from that, encouraged by that progress during 2018, our Honorable Prime Minister moved the proposal for India to celebrate India as International Year of Millets, and as you told that the United Nations General Assembly that accepted our request and that lead was given to India. And in this direction, if we see, because earlier most of the millets they are confined to India and some African and Asian nations, they are already growing. But to take it to the whole of the globe, that is a very good opportunity for our country in terms of enhancing our export, in terms of highlighting our millets in relation to its nutritional quality, in relation to their climate resilience. And definitely our efforts will be taking these millets at the international scenario, and that will be in all efforts, they will be for the win-win situation of the country, for our farmers, for the consumers, not only in India but globally also.
India's advocacy and push for millets is no doubt commendable. But looking back inwards domestically, how much of our own people are really aware of the benefits of consuming millets? Especially the lopside, of course, was so much so that they were almost declared as orphan crops in the 60s and 70s. And why there has been such a lack of it?
Up to 1950-55, the area under millets that was huge. Pearl millet that was almost 40 million hectare was there. And with the introduction of the Green Revolution during 1965 onward, the dwarf wheat varieties, they came, rice varieties also they came, and they were higher yielder, and generally the farmers, they go for their profit because there were more profit from those crops, and moreover all the government policies were also towards the promotion of these cereals like the rice, wheat, maize. These crops, they were already grown, but the focus was never given to those crops. So as you have told that these became the orphan crops at that time, and there was total negligence towards that. And if we compared 50-51 and even today, so there was 70% decline in the sorghum area, there was 33% decline in millets area, and there was 53% decline in case of this finger millet, and the other 6 millets which you have just mentioned, there was 90% decline in that area. That was only because the farmers could get the better remunerative crop, because farmers will always go towards the better remuneration. The farmers needs the profit. He is doing a lot of hard work. So in that direction, and all the policies like the irrigation subsidies, the fertilizer subsidies, and the varietal improvement program also in the ICR, also the major emphasis was given. Large number of institutions were there which developed a large number of varieties, high yielding varieties of wheat and rice and maize, and moreover the private sector also came in that, and the seed system also that was more developed for those crops, but not much efforts were given, and if the same efforts were given to those crops also, same importance, so definitely they could have also been stabilizing on the same area, or they may be in a better position.
Dr. Yadav, you rightly factored in the most important stakeholder in the process, that is the farmers. What challenges do you see for producers or farmers in growing millets on an extensive scale? Do you feel that the recent hike in the minimum support price for millets by the government would incentivize the farmers to produce more of it?
Yeah, definitely, because farmer's first choice will be that the crop which he grows, that should be remunerative to him, because a lot of efforts are being made. So in that direction, for these crops, much efforts were not given. As I told, that the varietal improvement program, that much importance was not given. Secondly, the seed system also. In other crops, seed system was very perfect in terms of production of breeder seed, then its foundation seed, certified seed, and reaching to the farmers. In case of wheat, rice, maize, it is very perfect. But in these crops, those efforts were not made as they were made in those crops. Secondly, the MSP, because in wheat and rice, the assured MSP was there. Whatsoever farmer was producing, that was being procured. And in these crops, that attention was not given, although later on, past decade, the MSP for sorghum and pearl millet was given, and in some of the states now for finger millet also the MSP has been given. Then the PDS system, because these crops, they were under the PDS system, so they reached to the general public. That was very easy, and the people were getting in a cheaper rate these crops, but the millets, they were not given much attention. And some of the regions were that the shelf life of millets in terms of, because many times we are giving the wheat, atta, all those things under the PDS system, but because in case of millets, the shelf life of the atta, that is not too longer, so that was also a constraint there. The other issue was the processing of the millets. In wheat and rice, the very good machineries have been developed, as I told, that the major efforts in all directions, whether it is policy, whether it is mechanization, whether it is varietal improvement, procurement system, product development, so they were more inclined towards these two cereals, and the millets, they were ignored altogether. So these were the major reasons. Because of that, the millets, they were just were not given that importance, and their area also increased, and taste of the people also, because the elder are generally taking one of their diets, and in many of the rural areas like in Rajasthan, Haryana, some of parts, the millets, bajra was one of the staple food for all our fathers and forefathers. But with the availability of wheat, the children, they are not inclined towards that because of the taste and other things. That's why their area and their choice, that was reducing, and that led to the current situation which we are seeing today.
So you talk of the PDS, the public distribution system. Now, it has been one of the fulcrums of realizing the dream of the National Food Security Mission. Now, given its large and widespread reach, almost catering to the last man standing in the remotest corner of the nation. Now, please throw some light on how the PDS system can be actually leveraged to augment the produce, the supply, and also the consumption of millets.
Definitely. First thing is that the supply and demand. Because of the reduction in area and unawareness of the public, because not much efforts were made for the awareness of these millets, so people, they just went away from the growing as well as the consumption of the millets. Now the present efforts are mainly focusing towards enhancing the production, availability, and then the demand also, because if the availability, production is more and demand is not there, then farmers will definitely be in the loss. Then creating the demand, actually the awareness programs under the International Year of Millets, as you may be aware that total 10-11 ministries and including almost 23 departments of the different ministries and all the state governments and the union territories, so they all are now working together under the banner of the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and we are trying our best to make the awareness through the various social media, our print media, our Doordarshan, All India Radio, various channels of the All India Radio. So those efforts are meant to tell the advantages of these millets. And secondly, regarding the production, again we have tried to develop after 2018, we could develop 132 different varieties which are having very high yielder. Earlier in case of pearl millet, 10-12 quintals per hectare was the good potential yield of many of the hybrids and varieties. But now we have the hybrids with 4 tons per hectare. Likewise, in case of sorghum, we have the hybrids and varieties up to 5 tons per hectare. And in case of ragi also, finger millet also, we have the varieties which are having 3.5 tons per hectare. So in that direction, definitely we will be having the advantage of getting the higher yield, and in that direction the farmers, they will be getting more. As far as procurement is concerned, so definitely the MSP for 3 crops has all been declared, and under the International Year of Millets, we are making all our efforts that all the crops, they should come under MSP so that farmers, they can get the good profit. And then the product development. After International Year of Millets, our Indian Institute of Millet Research, which looks after mainly one of the ICR's unit at Hyderabad, that looks after the product development. So there is one Nutri Hub there for development of the various products out of these millet grains. So we have our institute itself, we could develop almost 67 different products which are very popular, and they are in taste, in their appearance and everything. So now they are liked by the children, by the adults, by the young generation, which was not happening earlier, because the earlier main use was only the consumption in the households, and no, the product development part, value addition and processing issues, they were not there. And in addition to that, we strengthened our seed production system, and through that our all the programs under All India Coordinated Research Projects, we ensured that better seed should be produced, that should be provided to the various seed production agencies in the state as well as the National Seed Corporation. And under the National Food Security Mission, the millets, they were also added in that. That is a major focus under NFSM, and in that we could develop 24 seed hubs also to ensure the availability of quality seeds. So now the seeds are available, varieties are available, farmers are having good profit also. And in that direction, the development of the various products through our startups, through the farmers producer organizations, we have now 41 FPOs specifically for the millet. We have more than 400 startups we are developing various products. So in addition to our 67 products which we have developed through our Indian Institute of Millet Research, now we have more than 170 value-added products which are available in the market.
So now, besides the domestic consumption, as you say, how can millets be promoted more as cash crops or for commerce or exports?
Yeah, definitely, because the efforts which we are now making, one of that all our missions abroad, they are now playing a major role through our Ministry of External Affairs during the International Year of Millets, and even before that, our External Affairs Ministry and the different ministries, they have taken many steps. Now, during this year, they will be having the various programs of the millets and millet products in the all our missions abroad in all the country. Secondly, the various products which we are developing through FSSI, all the standards they have been developed, and our Commerce Ministry, they are trying their best to that these products, they should go to the various markets abroad, and even the different MSCs which are located in India. So they are also holding a large number of programs to popularize the millets. So once the products will be available, and already the Ministry of Commerce, they are there. APIDA is also playing a very important role to export these products to the various countries. So definitely it will be having a very high commercial value.
Lastly, Dr. Yadav, how can millets be more useful and beneficial for health in general in the context of the recent COVID epidemic and also other ailments?
So I think many of the millets, like in case of pearl millet, the iron and zinc, that is too high in comparison to wheat and rice, where iron and zinc somewhere 30 to 35 ppm is available. But in case of pearl millet, it is more than 50 ppm. And now we have put a benchmark also that the variety is lesser than this much of the iron and zinc, they will not be promoted further. Likewise, in case of ragi, we have a high concentration of this calcium. That is also very high, almost 10 times higher than wheat and rice. Other components also like the magnesium or the calcium, various vitamins also rich in that. So if we talk of the COVID, that the immunity was one issue. So millets are very right for the nutrition as well as the immunity component. Production and the climate resilience is one of the added advantage, where the other crops like rice and wheat, they fail, but the millets, they are always successful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yadav, for having come to our studios and enlighten our listeners on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on celebration of International Year of Millets 2023, positioning India as the global hub for millets. The participants were Dr. D.K. Yadav, Additional Director General, SEED, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and Nishit Kumar, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.